Hello, really good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news, sale news, transfer news on the United Stand. 10 o'clock live every morning, giving you it all where you need it. And we've got lots to talk about this morning. Sir Jim Ratcliffe losing confidence in the United sale process, with the Glazers uniting behind one common goal. We'll also be talking about Harry Kane's hope that Manchester United will resurrect their interest in signing him, and Daniel Levy will open the door to a Harry Kane transfer to Manchester United. Just how likely is that? The goalkeeper situation is shifting more towards Onana than Costa or David De Gea staying. We've got a big update on David De Gea's future, and this is coming up from a very good source at Manchester United. Fasten your seatbelts for that one. We've also got an interesting story around Dean Henderson. Lots to get into on the show today. We'll also be talking about the midfield situation, what's going on with Manchester United there. Fabrizio Romano has mentioned Rabiot. Is that sufficient? Is it sufficient that Manchester United are putting it out there that Rabiot will be the midfield signing on a free transfer when we failed to get him last year because he was greedy? And teams like Arsenal are going to get Declan Rice. Chelsea are going to get Caicedo. Gravenberch and Thuram and McAllister could all be heading to Liverpool. Kovacic is going to Man City. And Man United, is it good enough to get Rabiot on a free transfer when everyone else are buying midfielders like that? And Lavia could be going to Arsenal or Chelsea. We'll talk about all of those things on the morning show. So make sure you smash a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Lots to get into this morning. So we're going to start off with a little bit of surprise, a little bit of sale news here. So this is coming in from French reports, which I want to sort of merge with two stories here. So effectively, I have this here. This is coming in from Nice, funnily enough. Reports coming in from Nice that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's side are now less confident of securing the takeover of Manchester United. Now, just how much weight you can put on this, I don't know. But it drew my attention this morning when I woke up, more so than the article in the Mirror yesterday, which basically said that the Glazers are uniting together behind a full sale now. I didn't really pick up on it yesterday, and it was in the Mirror, and they were basically saying that it's a blow for Sir Jim because Joel and Avram are now uniting with the other siblings and in agreement that the best course of action appears to be a full sale, which would obviously suggest Qatar, which we suspect at the moment are the current favourites. But I find this story really interesting because this is coming in from France, it's coming in from Nice reports, and it's basically saying that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is losing confidence in his ability to acquire Manchester United. Now, interestingly enough, this is the sort of story we like to discuss because it has a little bit of a backstory to what we were talking about last week, but it's also not the clear, it's not Rio Ferdinand outside on his phone, outside a train saying the deal's done. There's actually depth to what we're talking about in the sense that the same article goes on to say Ineos are still very focused on buying Manchester United. So it's not they're out of the race, it's not they've lost the race. It's that they do want to buy Manchester United, and they're still very much involved in the process, but they're losing confidence in their ability to actually win. And those types of stories, for me, and I'm sure for some of you as well, are far more encouraging than a headline or a video where someone says, it's done, it's going to happen, Qatar are going to win, we're hearing from this source that nobody knows who it is. That doesn't mean that that's not going to happen, by the way. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I prefer these sort of stories where they're coming in from the region where Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns a football club, France, and there's a little bit more honesty to it because it's saying, Ineos do want to buy Manchester United. Sir Jim still is in the race to buy them, but they're slowly losing confidence that can happen. Because I just don't trust the whole Sir Jim's out the race. Sir Jim's given up. He spent 6 months, he got very close to buying us and he's just given up. This is more genuine, I think. This is more, they want to buy United, but ultimately they feel they're losing the race. And it also does have elements of truth in relation to two things. One, a year ago, when he tried to buy Chelsea, he didn't back out of the race. He lost. He didn't back out. He knew he was the underdog to Todd Boehly, and he made a play that his bid, even though it was lower, was better for the future of Chelsea. He didn't give up. didn't back out, he just lost. And this reads a little bit like that. They're not giving up, they're not backing out, they're just losing confidence. And also, if you remember last week when we had Ben Jacobs on the channel, what did he say? I think it was Ben Jacobs. We spoke to so many people last week and we read so many things last week. But what was said was, to be honest with you, all the stories about deal done with Qatar and Qatar are going to win and Qatar have, already won and the share price means this, that and the other. What you normally get in this situation first, and George, welcome to the Members Club, what you normally get in a situation like this, and we were talking about this last week, and this is where this gets interesting, is in a race like this, you normally get an indication of who's going to win from the side of the team that's going to lose. And are we starting to get that there? And what that means is the side that's going to lose in the sale tends to start briefing out what's going, that they're not going to win. Because obviously they've got to protect their brand, their PR, and they've got to just sort of prepare, they've got to get a statement out of some sort. Are we starting to get that sort of thing from the Sajim side? We're losing confidence, we're losing that race, because that traditionally happens quite a lot in sales. The team that loses briefs first. So let's just see how that develops. I don't propose to spend loads of time on this morning, but I actually do think that is a really interesting update for a news show. Let's wait and see what happens with it. As for whether the Glazers are uniting behind a full sale, I don't really think that's breaking news. We already know from a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, they tried to get the PSG president to act as a go-between. If the Glazers didn't want a full sale, why have they been doing that for the last 6 months? So, disgusted if he's our only midfield signing. Him and Casemiro with Bruno ahead is solid. It's the backup I'm worried about. Bruno has to play at number 10, says Glenn. Sajim and Ineos probably didn't think Qatar would match the Glazers' asking price, but too bad for them. The Qataris just did. No way Sajim can win now, says Navin. And as much as I would love Qatar to own United now, Sajim Radcliffe is definitely going to bid again. And I guess Kane is going to be the De Jong of this transfer window, says Salim. And thank you very much for those super chats early on. I'll say what I've always said. If Sir Jim Radcliffe ends up buying this football club and keeping the Glazers, I think he's an enemy of the football club, because anybody who keeps the Glazers is an enemy of the football club, because they've been an enemy of the football club for the last 20 years. But ultimately, if that's our future, we'll have to just get on with it. But at the moment, I think everybody's feeling Qatari, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we end up. Thoughts on the Iqbal deal? As an Iraqi, I hate it, says Modern. Just go and watch the first few minutes of last night's video, mate. I said it all. And Mark, wake me up when we have new owners, says Shabazz. You'll be sleeping and hibernating longer than a bloody turtle. I can't wake you up when we've got new owners, because God knows when it'll happen. But look, let's move on. I thought that was an interesting development, but we will move on. Maybe we'll recircle back onto that. But as I say, that's coming in from the Sir Jim Radcliffe side potentially, and I think that holds good sway for various reasons. Now, I want to talk about Harry Kane thing, but I've got a bit of an exclusive for you around Manchester United. I want to just give a little bit of a backstory to this. So the Daily Mail put an article out last night, mainly about Harry Kane, but this was there. The increasingly likely scenario around the goalkeeper situation is that David De Gea will leave as a free agent next week. Means Ten Hag may also be in the market for a new number one. There is reports coming in from Di Marzio saying that Manchester United are definitely interested in Onana. Inter are waiting to see if United follow up their interest with talks or an offer. What I can tell you from very, very good, reliable Manchester United sources is that basically I asked the question, are we likely to get any resolution on the goalkeeper situation this week? I was told not necessarily. It could go into next week. There's lots of moving parts around what's happening here. Clarifying what those moving parts are very interesting. But more importantly, the Onana story is true but false. United are not pinning their hopes on Onana, and they are not removing Costa, Raya or anybody else from the equation. That doesn't mean we're in for Raya, it doesn't mean we're in for Costa, it doesn't mean we're not in for Onana. But Manchester United are not focusing in on one goalkeeper target at the moment. And this is coming in from the club, and they'll tell any journalist this, and they'll tell anybody who asks this. They are not focusing in exclusively on Onana, and in relation to David De Gea, they're not actually expecting a big announcement this week around that. It could well go into next week. So, look, let's wait and see what happens with it. It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. As you know, I did the Inter Milan Champions League final watch along with Manchester City, and I was absolutely captivated by Onana. Obviously, I've seen Onana play before. I know what type of player he is, but for a player in a Champions League final to do that as the underdog, to express yourself in the way that he did, I just, whether he goes to Chelsea, Manchester United, or he stays at Inter Milan, he is a captivating goalkeeper to watch. He's a character. He is box office. And if he came to Manchester United, if he went to Liverpool, I'd watch them. I don't like Liverpool, but I just think there's very few people in football. You get your Ronaldos, you get your Messis, you get your Zidans, but there's very few people in football that, as an individual, entertain you every time they're on the ball. He's just a fascinating player to watch. So I can't lie. If he came to Man United, we'd be getting a player that I just love watching. But I must also say that for me, I don't think spending £50 million on a goalkeeper this summer is a good idea. Comparable to other areas that we need to invest in. That's always been my stance. I don't change that stance, as much as I think Onana would be a very, very, very exciting signing. My overwhelming feeling here is I just think it's disgusting the way Manchester United treat their players. We've heard from Evra in the past. We've heard from Rio Ferdinand in the past. We've heard from Paul Scholes in the past. We have a history. Ander Herrera, Ronaldo. We have a really bad history of treating good players that respect this football club horribly. And I don't care whether you want De Gea to stay or not. I don't care whether you want Maguire to stay or not, or McTominay or anybody else that we sell. I don't like it when I hear how badly we treat players. And certain players should not be treated that badly. And you shouldn't dangle a contract for 6 months and then send him on holiday and say we're not putting the contract there anymore. It's not a good way to treat people, and it's not a good way to treat players who've actually delivered in a Man United shirt, which is quite a rarity over the last 10 years. So I don't like the way this deal has been played out. I don't think it's respectful to David De Gea. But if he's going to go, I'm a grown up. I've seen it happen before. Van Persie, you're absolutely right. The way they treated Van Persie was disgusting as well. We've got a horrible track record under the Glazers of treating players like shit. They treat the fans worse. They treat the stadium even worse. Players do get well compensated. We don't get 200 grand a week. So yeah, I'm sure their bank account can be their comfort blanket, but we're just not a very nice football club in the way that we do deals. We don't treat our players well. We don't treat our fans well. And we don't perform very well. It's a running theme under the Glazers. Maguire had his Greece verdict pushed back to February. Forget that incident even happened. Might influence his sales, says Joshua Bowwater. Hi Mark, next season is looking like a write-off. We will flop in the Champions League, says Joseph. And let's reignite United has joined the members club, and Nick has as well. Thank you very much. Mark, do you think Man United make a signing before June's over? 10 days left, but sadly I don't see us doing it, says Navin. Can I come back to that if you remind me about that, Navin? I just want to go to what Joshua Bowwater said. I did actually read that today, and I would have completely forgotten it, Joshua. We're going to talk about this Kane story next. There's a lot to get into today, but I do just want to stay with the goalkeeper for a moment, because there's this story here about Dean Henderson, which we'll mention now. But just on that Harry Maguire story, Joshua Bowwater's absolutely correct. It feels like forever that Harry Maguire went through the Let's Reignite United has just gifted 5 memberships. You're a legend. Welcome to Members Club, Mikael Roach as well. It feels like a long, long time ago that Harry Maguire got into trouble in Greece. I presume that was after COVID. It feels like it was a long, long time ago. I'm trying to remember what the allegations were. Was it pushing and shoving and shouting and do you know who I am and bribery or something like that? I don't know. I'd have to read back. I don't remember what the allegations were. And obviously innocent until proven guilty. There's rumours around Anthony at the moment. We've had it with Mason Greenwood. You can't side with the victims in this case because you don't like the way the player plays football, or because you do like the way the player plays football. But the fact that that is still ongoing, I thought it had just been swept under the carpet and it's gone. I'm not saying we've bribed the Greece authorities, but Clearly that hasn't happened, and clearly there's talk about it happening in February, which would be a trial in February, which could impact a transfer. Of course it could. At the moment, I just feel like that, I don't know about you, but at the moment I just feel like everything that possibly could go wrong is starting to go wrong. Like, we're not going to sell McTominay. We sell Iqbal for £1 million. We can't sell Maguire because he's got to go to court in February. It's just like, Ten Hag must be like, is there some sort of spell over Old Trafford at the moment where even when you make progress, you end up going back? Hi Mark, hope you're well. Never thought I'd say this, but I hate the Glazers for what they've done and continue to do to this club we've all come to love. If Sir Jan Radcliffe really supports United, he'd want them gone too, says Clayton. And appreciate all the work United Stand do. The show has really helped me through some hard times the last year, says Stephen. Good to hear you're doing well, Stephen. And look, we've got a great community and it's there for you. Hi Mark, what percentage chance do you think new ownership would be in control at any point of this transfer window, says Big Ash. I think there's a good percentage chance that we will know who the new owners are going to be in this transfer window. But your question is, will we have them in control this transfer window? Well, you've basically got 2 months. I think there's a very slim chance that there'll be an official control by the end of August, because you've only got just over 2 months to get it all done. I think you're looking at mid to late August at the earliest for them to officially hold the club. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't have an impact. The next quarterly dividend payment is due on the 23rd of June. For prior year, I wonder if by holding out until after the 23rd it has any further financial benefit to the Glazers, says Chris. I don't think they'll take a dividend, Chris. I really don't. Not only does the club treat players, facilities and fans badly, we also don't treat other clubs with respect, which is why we don't get good deals, says James. Mick J, welcome to Members Club, and also Daniel as well. Don't forget, members, you can watch out the second part of our Dublin tour on Friday. It's coming out, another hour for you to watch. Looking forward to uploading that for you. But look, let's move on with the story. We're just going to stay with the goalkeepers very, very quickly. Chris says, don't you think the board will give us a Casemiro signing like last year? Chris, they will spend money, yeah. And what's happening about the Mount second bid, says Ronnie. The last I heard about the Mount bid, and welcome to the Members Club, Zachary. The last I heard about the Mason Mount bid is that Man United are preparing to type up an email to propose to the board to suggest that they might consider monitoring and following up with a further bid for Mason Mount. So they're just in the preparation stage at the moment. I think John Murtaugh's trying to find the password for his Gmail, and then he's going to send propose a draft for Richard Arnold to have a look and assess. So yeah, I think that's where we're at the moment. Slow progress. Will 110 member for 3 months. Look, I've said it in football games before, and I'll say it right now. Man United's transfer activity is slower than a snail's funeral. It's just, it is what it is. Anyway, just on the goalkeepers very, very quickly. Sources suggest that Dean Henderson has pissed off Erik Ten Hag. There's almost no indication he is under consideration for a promotion to the starting keeper role next season. That's coming in from Samuel Luckhurst. Look, to be honest with you, that's pretty damning for Dean Henderson, who has always appeared to have very strong connections to that particular outlet and potentially that journalist as well, who has got sources in that dressing room. That to me is music to my ears. Absolutely. I don't want Dean Henderson as our goalkeeper. I think he gobbed off at the end of start of last season. And if I was the manager of Man United, I would have marked his card and said, you ain't never playing for me. I don't want a goalkeeper that gobby at the start of a big season for me. So look, I hope it's true. I hope he is going to go. I wish him all the best at Nottingham Forest or wherever he's going to go, but I don't want to see him in a Man United shirt. He can take his John Cena actions and go and play for a team that's more befitting of his level. So look, I really hope that is true. I expect a big January transfer window with Qatari ownership. Gone will be the days of no signings in January and only renewals as like new signings. As Kaiser, welcome to the Members Club, Reese. Let's talk about Harry Kane. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we were speaking about Harry Kane yesterday morning, weren't we? We were talking about Harry Kane and we said that he still wants to come to Manchester United. In fact, I think we went along the lines of Harry Kane transfer request. Now, where that information actually came in from was from the England camp, where players close to Kane felt that he wants to join Manchester United and ultimately he's going to have to push for the move. 24 hours later, we're starting to get stories like this, that Harry Kane's clear preference is Manchester United, and he hopes that Daniel Levy will relent rather than have to write off £80 million next year when he leaves for nothing. However, the feeling on all sides is that Levy will not change his mind, and he will, drive Harry Kane to the point where he's got to stay at Spurs for another year. However, Harry Kane still hopes that Manchester United will resurrect their bid to sign him this summer if Tottenham chief Daniel Levy lowers his £100 million demand. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. Sorry to go off topic. I've overcome my mental illness. Thank you, says Mikkel. Thank you, Mikkel. Thanks for letting us know. Hope you're doing well and stay positive. Thank you very much. Well-known member of the channel and the live chat. So good to hear that, Mikkel. We will bid for Kane in August, in my prediction, says Robert. And I'm glad Robert said that. My stance on this is where I don't contradict myself. The Harry Kane deal needs to happen by the end of this month, or we move on. Personally, I don't want this to become the Frankie de Jong saga that somebody mentioned a couple of minutes ago. Harry Kane, Spurs, Daniel Levy, we all said it. This deal, if it's going to happen, will go all the way to August the 31st. We'll have no Harry Kane on pre-season. We'll have no Harry Kane for the start of the season. We've got Arsenal, third game of the season. So we'd play Arsenal without Harry Kane. We've got difficult games in the first few games of the season without Harry Kane. So we wait all the way till August the 31st. And then we sign him, having played 4 games already and missed out on pre-season. And we still end up giving Spurs 100 million. No. Absolutely not. Forget about it. You don't get a discount wait until August the 31st. You probably pay more. I genuinely would say, no, we're out of this race. We're absolutely out of this race. Also, he'd be playing against us as well because we play Spurs second game of the season. These are all factors. Do you think Daniel Levy is going to sell us Harry Kane before we play them in August? Got no chance. Absolutely none. We need to walk away from this deal. Spurs away second game, they won't sell him before then. Exactly, Robert. Exactly. I'd forgotten about that. We cannot get involved in this. Daniel Levy is a complete and utter arsehole when it comes to selling players to the opposition. I don't know what Spurs fans think about him. They probably feel the same. But you cannot. It doesn't matter how good Harry Kane is. He's not available as a bargain. You're going to have to pay a lot of money for him. I get that Robert McCormack likes him. I like him. I get that a lot of you would like him. But this deal has got a big, big no written all over it. Go back for him in a year's time on a free. But he's got to have a pre-season and he's got to be kicking a Man United get a ball from the first game of the season. You don't pay £100 million for a player at the end of August and fuck up your whole summer transfer window, your whole summer plans, waiting for a striker, starting the season without a striker. We can't do it. We've just got to turn our back on this and walk away. There are so many reasons why we would like Harry Kane, but ultimately, we clearly don't have a plan. The only way this deal happens, and I said it yesterday, is Harry Kane publicly puts a statement out and says, I want to leave Spurs. I love the club. I've done everything I can for the club. I'll always do everything I can for this football club. But they haven't matched my ambitions and they're not going to match my ambitions. I will not be signing a new contract. In a year's time, I will be leaving anyway. We are not in the Champions League. We're not going to win the league. I have a value and my legacy for Spurs will always be one of their best ever strikers. My legacy for Spurs will always be, I love the football club. But I'd like my legacy to be £80 million into the club that they can invest in the future, that I'm not going to be part of anyway. And by keeping me, they're keeping me from going on and achieving things elsewhere, but also they're going to let me go for free. It's damaging to the club, it's damaging to the fans, and I want the club to receive a fee for me, and I want to leave now. If you put a statement out like that, I tell you what, you're going to hit the hearts of a lot of Spurs fans who are going to go, you know what? He wants a fee for himself to go into this club that he loves. He doesn't want to just fade away for nothing. He doesn't want to just be not committed for his final year here. But that's Daniel Levy for you. I think I'd like us to buy Harry Kane, but there are other options out there. But for Spurs, I think you're being screwed over by a very stubborn person. And as for Manchester United, we cannot wait. We cannot wait. We cannot wait. We had the warning last year. No pre-season's a bad idea. We can't wait. We need a striker in for the pre-season, and we need to hit the ground running because there's going to be a lot of competition. We can't wait. And Harry Kane might want us to wait, and he might want us to resurrect our interest. But if we do, we're falling into the same trap that we always do, and we can't do it. Duncan says, with Mendy, Koulibaly and Ziyech now sold to Saudi and Kovacic and Havertz on their way out, I can see Mount signing a big contract at Chelsea, says Duncan. Snooze, you lose on Mason Mount. I mean, if that falls through, I wouldn't be surprised. But, I certainly don't see us getting that deal done quickly. Morning, Mark. Was just wondering your likely looking window at the moment, says Carl. I'll come back to that, because somebody did ask me, do you think we'll get a deal done in the next 10 days? We'll come back to that. Ty, welcome to the Members Club. One thing I would say about the striker situation, you know where I stand on this. I've got a cracking video that I've got somebody in to come in and talk to me about Højlund about soon. But Højlund looks like the striker that United are going to buy. I think we should be buying Højlund anyway, even if we got Harry Kane. I think the plan was to buy Højlund anyway. Shriel, welcome to the Members Club. But look, I saw something yesterday. Somebody sent me a clip of was it a clip or an article? Anyway, basically, I've got the line here. Question is it possible Beth is dating Dean Henderson? Says Ty. No, I definitely would sack her if she was dating Dean Henderson. No, I'm only joking. She's not dating Dean Henderson. And breaking news: we just got Weghorst for 5 million. Says Stephen. No, I saw this yesterday. And basically, an ex-United player was talking about what United should do up front. And they said that effectively Rasmus Højlund hasn't really proven himself yet. He's done it for one season. He's not the finished article. And that we should buy Victor Osimhen. And it was put to that ex-player that Victor Osimhen would cost about £150 million and most of the budget would go. And that ex-player said, just do it. You know, he's that good. That's what we should be doing. You know, he's the finished article. We should do it. That ex-player was Rio Ferdinand. Now, it doesn't matter whether that ex-player is Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes. It doesn't matter who it is. You know what I think about these ex-players. They're legends as ex-players, but I don't think their opinions are legendary. I don't think they watch enough football. I don't think they educate themselves enough on the players they talk about outside the Premier League. There is a massive difference between Victor Osimhen and Rasmus Højlund, and to a certain extent, that particular ex-player is correct, that Victor Osimhen is more of a rounded, experienced player. But Victor Osimhen for £150 million and Rasmus Højlund for 50, I go Rasmus Højlund every time. And there's a couple of reasons there. Victor Osimhen is not a £150 million striker. You can't spend that amount of money on one player unless it's Kylian Mbappe or Erling Haaland. You can't spend £150 million on Victor Osimhen. If you want to spend £150 million on Victor Osimhen, you haven't watched enough of Victor Osimhen. And I'm a massive fan of him. I would take Osimhen over Kane. But there has to be a limit to what you're willing to spend when your budget is limited. You can't just spend £150 million, £130 million on Victor Osimhen when your budget's 200 at most. You just can't do that. We have to get a midfielder. We have to get a number 8. We have to get a striker. We have to get a centre-back. And we may need to get a goalkeeper. So I don't agree with just do it. We're not Nike. We're sponsored by Adidas. You don't just go and spend £150 million on Victor Osimhen. So no, not for me. And I was quite interested on that because I got sent it. And I know the person who sent it me was doing it purposely because they know I want Osimhen. But no, you can't spend that amount of money on Victor Osimhen. He's good. He's good. But if you think he's like prime Thierry Henry or prime Van Nistelrooy, he's not. You know, I think there are aspects of his game he can definitely improve on, and he's really, really good. But the funny thing is, if you've actually watched Rasmus Højlund and you've actually watched Victor Osimhen, the scary thing is Rasmus Højlund could be a better player than Victor Osimhen because of what the things he does, which we've got a little video that we're going to put out a little bit later on about. But the way he plays the game and the way he can be nurtured into the game, he could be a better player than Victor Osimhen. So to say he's only had one season and he's fresh is correct, but you can't spend all of your budget on one striker. That's just silly. And I wish we could. I wish we were in a position where we could just spend everything on Victor Osimhen, because that's what Man City can do. But we've not even built the first team yet. We've got to box clever. It's the same reason we can't give. Look, if you're willing to give, I'll flip it the other way. If you were willing to spend 150 or 130 million pounds on Victor Osimhen, why would you not just offer that up to Spurs for Kane? Like, if money's not a problem, why would you not do that for Kane? And one of the big reasons we shouldn't do it for Kane is because, again, very, very good player, but you can't pay 130 or even 100 for Kane. It's just not. It's not right to do that. Sources are saying that Murta and Arnold can't be bothered signing anyone as they know they're getting the sack when Sir Jim takes over. Says A11. Doubt that's true. Mark my words, Højlund will have an unbelievable season if we get him. We will get him next season for double the price if we don't, says Tony. I don't want a player who has captain experience, unnecessary ego battle with dressing room, not until Sheikh takes over and team structure is fixed, says FaZe. So, thank you very much for that. Paddy, welcome to Members Club as well. And Jawa, welcome to Members Club. So, yeah, look, the striker situation is very, very interesting. As I said, I just don't think you can wait on Kane. I mean, look, there's a lot to be concerned about. I get that. But in some ways, would you rather we're still in the Osimhen race, we're still in the Kane race, or would you rather we're out of those races because we know what's going on? And what I mean by that is, would you rather know the truth about Kane and Osimhen and us be out the race now in June, or would you rather not know the truth and we're still in the race in August, wasting time? But the truth is hidden. And the truth is, Harry Kane is a waste of time trying to get him because Spurs are going to block it. And the truth is, Victor Osimhen is a waste of time because Napoli are about to get him to sign a new contract and will only sell him if somebody gives them more than 130 million quid. I'd rather know that now. As disappointing as it is, they're not obtainable. Move on. It's as simple as that. So, look, not everything's a negative is what I'm trying to say. We know that Kane and Osimhen are stupid deals to do at the moment. Unless Daniel Levy picks up the phone and says, you can have Harry Kane for 75 million, or unless Napoli pick up the phone and say, you can have Victor Osimhen for 90, we're out. And we move on. Sheikh Jazim, Mark, not Sir Jim, says A11. Sorry, I don't know what I've said there. Apologies. Spurs are a small club. Sad for Kane to be stuck there, says Oliver. Olivier, well, look, we're not the Spurs stand, thank God. But I actually do think, if you go back to what I said Harry Kane should do, I don't think a Spurs fan can argue with that. If he comes out publicly and says, I love the club, I'd love to stay here, but let's be honest, I'm out of contract in a year. I'm not going to sign a new contract. I've been hoping for years that this club would match my ambition because I love it. We're not in the Champions League next year. We're not going to win the Champions League next year. We're not going to win the Premier League next year. I'm not going to sign a new contract. I'm going to leave for nothing. That's going to happen. I don't want to fade out on a club that I've always given everything for. And I would like my legacy to be that I always gave everything for this club. And when I do leave it, I want them to get a big payday. I want them to get £80 million. I want that to happen this summer so that when I go, this club can rebuild with my legacy. But what's going to happen is they're going to keep me against my will for a year, and then I'm going to walk away with nothing, and you're not going to get anything. How does that help Spurs? And I'd leave that like that. That's what I'd do. And I think every Spurs fan would go, we don't want Harry Kane to leave, but the situation is not ideal for anybody, but he's actually right. We need to cash in now and use that money. Throw it on to Daniel Levy, who's probably more interested in signing Beyonce for another Christmas concert. But you know, I feel for Spurs fans because I think that Spurs has been badly run for a few years now. Talking about back to Manchester United, this was sort of something I spoke about at the start, and I'd be very interested to get your opinions on this. So Fabrizio has put this out this morning. This is the big one, right? You can't move at the moment for talk of midfielders. You've got Caicedo going to Chelsea. You've got Kovacic going to Man City. You've got McAllister, Thuram and maybe Gravenberch going to Liverpool. You've got Declan Rice going to Arsenal. You've got Barella and now Tonali linked to Newcastle. Lavia could be going to Chelsea, could be going back to Man City, could be going to Arsenal. There that, and I've named Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool. The 5 main competitors for next season are all buying midfielders that, in our own way, we'd say that's a good signing, that's a good signing, that's a good signing. So all those players that our rivals are buying in the midfield, and United are doing this. United have been in contact with Adrien Rabiot's agent, which is his mother. Erik ten Hag remains a fan of the midfielder. So that's where we are. All our rivals in the top 6 are going out, but I'd like Tonali, I'd like Barella, I'd like Lavia, I'd like Casido, I'd like Rice, I'd like Gravenberch, I would have liked McAllister, I'd like Kovacic. I'd actually like all those players better than Rabiot. And that's where I'm at. There are 8 or 9 players there that our rivals are buying, and I'd take all of those ahead of Rabiot for different reasons. I'm not saying Lavia is better than Rabiot, but he's younger. I think he can develop and be better. Same with Gravenberch. Same with Casido. How are we supposed to get excited about this when all our rivals are buying players that I would prefer? Are you telling me that Erik ten Hag has spoken to John Merton, Richard Arnold, and said, well, I prefer Rabiot on it. I'll tell you what, John, and I'll tell you what, Richard, I'll tell you what, I would prefer Rabiot on a free. I'd love us to give him and his mum ridiculous wages and get him on a free, rather than sign Declan Rice, Casido, McAllister, Lavia, Gravenberch, Thuram, Tonali, Barella, Kovacic. I would love to buy Rabiot on a free and make him and his mum stupidly rich on stupid wages than go for any of those players. Have a day off. Have a day off. Like, this reflects what we are. All our rivals are buying decent players for transfer fees, and we're going for a decent player on a free and going to give him and his mum a massive payday, which we rejected doing a year ago. I think this is embarrassing. I really, really do. We went to Turin last year to buy Rabiot, and we flew back because his wage demands were ridiculous. He's now a free agent a year later. Do you think his wage demands have got any cheaper? They'll have gone more. We're going back to do a deal we walked away from a year ago because they were greedy. But we're going back to do it again. I mean, it's stunning by its pure incompetence. Rabiot's a decent player. Ten Hag obviously rates him. But don't for the life of me tell me that this was the priority. We're going for Rabiot because he's free. It's as simple as that. We don't have the budget we need, and he's free. And Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City are all buying midfielders that we would rather have over Rabiot. We're just buying him because he's free. It might work out. But beyond the concerns I've just said there, let's not forget, he hasn't got a brilliant reputation in football anyway for being dedicated, consistent and focused. So, pardon me, I'm a little bit concerned about this Rabiot deal because I think we're buying the worst midfielder out of the top 6, because I think everybody else is either buying young, exciting potential or proven top quality midfielders, whereas we're buying a free agent, giving him stupid money. He's never been consistent in his career, and there are a few red flags around him as well. It worries me. The Rabiot deal worries me, but I've been saying for a long time we're clearly going to do it because he is free. Why can't our scouts find well-priced up-and-coming stars, Mark? We keep on going after expensive players, says Kelvin. Well, Glazers are holding us back this summer, but we have to get Rabiot, Højlund, etc. if we can get more depth for a cheap price, says Frederick. Milton's just gifted a membership. Welcome to the members club as well. Look, there may well be people in the chat who are very, very happy with Rabiot. I think for me, there's just a ridiculous amount of red flags there. I can't really say any more than that. And he's a starter for France. I don't care about international football. Scott McTominay played well last night. Couldn't give a shit about international football. Never have. It's crap. If you think international football is the gauge for quality, you're watching the wrong sport. It's crap. Why is Rabiot not wanted by decent football clubs? Why are they not queuing up to take a... Why is he even a free agent? Why is Rabiot a free agent at 28? It's almost unheard of. Why is he a free agent? Nobody wants him? Because he runs his contract down? Because his wage demands are too much for Juventus? I don't... why is he a free agent? And I'll go back to what I said before. Declan Rice, Lavia, Caicedo, Kovacic, Thuram, McAllister, Gravenberch. They're all better. Tonali, Barella. They're all linked to Newcastle, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal. And I would take all 9 of those over Rabiot for different reasons. So I just think it's just where we are as a football club. It's like signing Eriksen last year. Eriksen, free transfer. There wasn't a queue. It was us or Brentford. Good player, but you get what you get. You get what you get. When you buy a player, whether it's a free transfer or not, and no one else is really interested, there's probably a reason no one else is interested. You might like Rabiot. Good. He's probably going to be wearing a Man United shirt, and I'll back him, and I hope he does really, really well. But there's a reason no one else is going for him. In a world where Chelsea are willing to pay Caicedo 70 million, Arsenal are willing to spend 100 on Rice, why are they not going for Rabiot, who's free? Why is Mikel Arteta not going? Hold on a minute. We're going to spend £100 million on Declan Rice. We can get Rabiot for free. Why is he not doing it? Why are Chelsea going, we'll give Brighton 70 million for Caicedo, but we could get Rabiot for free. He starts for France. Why is Pep not going, Kovacic for 25 million? Rabiot's the same age and I can get him for free. Why is Klopp not going, I need loads of midfielders? Why am I buying players I can get Rabiot for free? Answer the question. Newcastle, up and coming football club. We could get one of France's midfield starters for free. Why are we trying to spend loads of money on Barella? Look, it's only an opinion. You might have an answer, but tell me why all these clubs in the Premier League that are our competitors are willing to spend tens of millions of pounds on midfielders, but Rabiot's available for free. Why is no one going for him? It's because of finances. You're exactly right, B. This is just... I know for a fact that if United had £300 million to spend, Rabiot, we wouldn't even pick up his WhatsApp. We'd block him. We wouldn't even go. We wouldn't go anywhere near him. That signing is about money. Eriksen was a bit different, but with Rabiot, it's about money. I prefer Declan Rice, says Jonas. I prefer every other player that's been linked. I like Gravenberch. I do like Gravenberch, but I suspect it's a deal that Manchester United probably aren't going to look at trying to do. I want to go back to what I was asked the question at the start of the video. Do I think United will sign a player in the next 9 days, end of June? I was also asked the question, what's my predicted summer transfer window? My summer transfer predicted window definitely involves the player below me, Rabiot. I think we signed Rabiot. I think we probably buy one of the French centre-backs, whether it's the Marseille guy or the Monaco guy. I think we'll buy Rabiot. I think we'll buy Mount. I think we'll buy Højlund. So I'm predicting Højlund, Mount, Rabiot, and one of the French centre-backs. That's 4. And then probably the goalkeeper. And ultimately, is that a good summer transfer? How would you... Here we go then. Here we go. Here's a question for you. How would you rank a Manchester United summer transfer window that was Højlund, Mount, Rabiot, and the Monaco centre-back, and a goalkeeper? And the goalkeeper's difficult because I don't know whether it'll be a young goalkeeper or whether it'll be an Arna. I don't know with the goalkeeper. But Højlund, Mount, Rabiot, Monaco centre-back, goalkeeper. To me, that's a 6, maybe a 7. It's not the 9 we needed. Do I think we'll buy a player? Lots of 4s, 5s and 6s in the chat. A few 7s as well. Joseph says it's a solid 7.5. I don't think you can go above 7. I think 7.5 is ridiculous, mate. You can't go from Kane, Mount, Casido, Kim Min-jae to Højlund, Mount, Rabiot, Monaco centre-back and say it's a solid 7.5. No, you can't. It might end up being a good window because they might all step up and perform, but yeah, I don't. It wouldn't be a 7.5 to 10 hard because he's not getting what he wanted there. Do I think we'll buy a player in the next 9 days? Traditionally, United do tend to do deals in the first week of July. Do I think we'll do a deal in the next 9 days? I'd say it's a 50-50 chance because you've got next week as well, which still encompasses June. What are we on? Wednesday. So Wednesday the 21st will be Wednesday the 28th. Will be Friday the 30th. I'd say there's a 50-50 chance. Still need a backup for Casemiro, says Jack. Rabiot can do that role, Jack. I'd say there's a 50-50 chance that we'll progress a deal in the next 9 days. I don't think what I will say, there's 100% no chance that we'll see a player holding up a shirt. That's not going to happen in June. That'll be early July. Do I think we'll get a here we go? 50-50. Yeah, I'd say 50-50 on that. Should we have had one? Yes. There's too much to do to not do anything in June. The interesting thing is, we might be in a position where Arsenal and Man City, who finished above us and were better than us, have sorted out their midfield before we have. That's not good. Arsenal and Man City are better than us, and they could have sorted their midfield out before we do. Move Bruno to centre midfield and get Felix for number 10. It's clear that all midfielders will be gone by the time we wake up, says Charlie Max. I don't think Bruno's a centre midfielder, mate. I think people confuse Bruno's capability of playing anywhere with passion to confusion that he's actually a centre midfielder. He's not a centre midfielder. He doesn't pick up the runners very well. He's not particularly good in the tackle. Bruno is a number 10. Bruno masks his inability to play midfield because he tries hard. But you watch, go back and watch Bruno play centre midfield. He doesn't pick up the runners. He's not particularly good in the attack. He's all heart, he's all desire, he's all action, but he's not disciplined. He's not picking up the runners, like I say. He's not putting himself in the right area. He's not a centre midfielder. It's like putting Marcus Rashford at right back. Like, he might do a job, but he's not going to know the role. You can't put Bruno Fernandes as the number 8 and expect to have a good season. He's a 10. That's what he is. He'll play anywhere. He'd play in goal. I love Bruno, but if you think he's going to suddenly turn into a number 8 like Gundogan or something like that, never going to happen. Thanks everyone for watching. You know me, I'll talk and talk and talk. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Very, very, very fun. Very, very action-packed, not the word. Lots of topics covered this morning. If you didn't watch live, I'll try and put some bookmarks in as well. Smash the like and subscribe. I'll speak to you all in a little bit. We'll have a video for you at 2.